It's time for AggroChat, the official podcast of the Tales of the Aggronaut blog and stalwart gaming community, where we talk about stuff and things, and the stuff about the things, and sometimes gaming. I'm Belgast, and let's start the show. Hey folks, it's that time again, time for another episode of AggroChat. This is episode 301. Tonight I'm joined by Ammo.
Hello.
Ashgar.
You almost said 200.
I almost said 200 because it's been 200 for a really long time. Grace.
For 100 episodes, in fact.
Yup. Kodra.
That's just math.
Tam.
I don't have anything pithy to say. Hello.
And Thalen. And Thalen's not talking right now, so...
Hey. I switched my push-to-talk key back and forgot that I switched it back.
And we also have Neph in here with us. So, hi, Neph.
Hello.
Neph is a semi-regular extra sometimes, and I'm always happy to have a Neph.
I'm occasionally kidnapped into the channel.
Yeah, well, mostly it's like, so we're all hanging out on voice prior to the show, and then like when we strand someone in the other channel, when we go down to the podcasting channel, if it's just one person, it seems real sad.
We bring
So
people
like
along.
we've
This is
got
like 80%
people
of
into
how
the
we
channel.
get more hosts.
Like, this is absolutely how Aaron's ended up on this show as many times as he has.
It's true. Yeah. I mean, Shiana as well. I don't know if Shiana's actually ever really said much of anything. Like, he said hi, and then he didn't talk the rest of the show. Yeah. So, this was 2 weeks ago, an event started in Final Fantasy XIV, which is... It's kind of a regular occurrence, isn't it? Basically, anytime they're waiting on a patch, they sometimes do this irregular tombstone event where, like, they're straight up bribing you to run unpopular content and paying you with book rocks that you can then turn in for various stuff. For me, I was bribed to come back and snap up some mounts. In fact, 5 of them, I think, is what I ultimately got. So the Shiva mount, the Ifrit mount, the bird from... I don't remember where the bird... Zervan. The dog from Susano.
I should really come back for that one in particular.
Yeah, that one's great. And then the one from the Ixian Fate, which is like a really angry zebra lightning... unicorn.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
So I ground out book rocks, or mog rocks, as you know, some of us have started calling it. And the weirdest part about it is I started PvPing. I played an awful lot of Hidden Gorge, which is the Rival Wings map for low levels, and I don't know. I got to the point where I really enjoyed it, and it's essentially Summoner's Rift from League. And
Can you explain that statement a bit?
so essentially there are 2 towers on either side and a nexus, for lack of a better term. And creeps spawn at your base, at your nexus, and run towards the enemy towers. And you can summon mechs to help push the lane. You can recruit a goblin. By whichever side beats the goblin up the most ends up getting this insane, powerful pusher to help them out. Every so often in the center of the map, a delivery of resources happens. And whoever holds the platform with the most people on it ends up earning those resources for the team. And it could be Ceruleum, which is spread throughout the map, and that's the currency that you use to spawn mechs for your side. And it's also like there's occasionally like a tank that you can get to spawn for your side. So it's not exactly Summoner's Rift, but it's pretty close. Like, it's the same kind of thought process that you want to kill the creeps, kill the mechs, and send your team's mechs over to the towers, and you break down the 2 towers, which drops the shield for the Nexus area and allows you to blow up their Nexus. And they don't call it a Nexus, but I'm calling it a Nexus because it fits the comparison.
Okay.
And it's fun. Like, it's, so you can do a bunch of different things. Like, there's a whole bunch of different metrics as you're going through, and paying attention to this has a cost in other ways. So, like, say you're the team that rushes the middle to get the very first load of Ceruleum, allowing you to spawn a bunch of mechs. Well, when that's happening, the other team is going to make progress on your tower. So, like, you're going to have to weigh the decision: is it worth it to get a jump on mechs if I'm basically giving them a free hit at one of my towers on one of the sides? Is it worth it to, like, devote enough resources to push the Goblin Mercenary to your side if you're letting up on defense somewhere else? When you actually get into the base, there's 2 cannons that players can basically pilot, allowing them to, like, help fight back, but you can also kind of get knocked out of the cannons because, like, while you're sitting in a cannon, you're targetable by other players. It's an interesting thing, and, like, I don't know why it feels good, but so many other PvP options have never felt good. And to some of it, like, one, I gotta say it's the music, because the music is just peppy and it's good music.
Yeah,
And
it's
2, like, there's really no loss condition. Like, there's no negative to it. You
do get slightly less currency. Slightly.
Well, so, like, you okay, in the case of this scenario, you're getting 5 of the currency for the event, win or lose. And the match is 20 minutes at maximum, and usually doesn't run that long because one side will usually, steamroll the other side after a point. But as far as rewards, you get 50 poetics, and you get 500 wolf marks if you're on the losing team, and 1,000 if you're on the winning team. So, like, that's the differentiator between win or lose, but it doesn't really feel like it's a significant difference, at least for the point of this event, because you're getting 5 no matter what. Also, it's a decent source of experience. Like, I put on several levels of Bard while I was in there.
Does it auto scale you up, I'm guessing?
Yeah, it doesn't.
So PvP is currently basically non-scaled. Like, there is no scaling up or down to do. Everyone is fixed to certain stats and certain abilities.
Yeah. Well, and you run with, like, special PvP abilities too, which I guess that's part of what makes it feel decent too, is, like, there's not a situation where, like, this thing may be broken for PvP or, it may be broken for PvE, because, like, they're treated as 2 separate games. And the other thing that I like about PvP in Final Fantasy XIV is it feels like I have a fighting chance, whereas, like, in a battleground in WoW, it feels like you're constantly just dying. You're either winning or you're just dying.
And sometimes even when you're winning, you might still be just dying.
Right. So, like, the engagements are longer, and it's a lot of kind of back and forth until you whittle down the other player. It's not that you can just, like, wreck somebody instantly.
So I haven't tried to do this as a healer, but I have noticed that it's basically impossible to kill healers in PvP.
You have to be, like, I could do it as a bard, but I absolutely had to pour a bunch of hits in them, silence them, and then come in for the killing blow.
Yeah, I actually do a lot of my PvPing on one of my healers, and I actually kind of enjoy PvP healing, and I do find it probably more enjoyable than just doing a DPS class in PvP.
I went in the PvP for the first time ever the other day to try this out for the event as a healer, and even without knowing what I was doing, I did die once, I think. But I felt much sturdier than I normally do in PvP in other games.
What I really like about the design of, say, Hidden Gorge is it takes 5 minutes to understand what's going on. But there's a lot of nuance there that you can continue to learn while you're playing. Like, the simple fact is drop the towers, kill the Nexus. Simple as that. Like, that's the core of the game. And if you just focus on that, you're going to do fine and you're not actively harming your team. There's a lot of weird nuance that comes with, like, the different choices that are made. But the thing that I also really liked is nobody was toxic in PvP. I'm so used to, like, WoW PvP where everyone's yelling at everyone else.
Oh, it's misery.
Oh, it's horrible. Like, and for the most part, people are just chill and, like, they're making suggestions and not necessarily, commands.
It's because if you, I don't know, I go back to the thing that I was saying.
Did you know you can give commendations in PvP, I believe?
You can.
Yes.
I got lots of commendations for PvP.
That probably helps.
I'd have random conversations in PvP.
One also assumes that the rule about, not telling other people how to play their class is in effect in PvP too. So, like, you could get banned if you decided to be really toxic.
Yeah.
Is that actually
FF14 is real heavy on that.
Yeah.
Is that a terms of service thing?
Yes.
Yes.
I didn't realize that.
FF14 will ban you for that. They will ban you for
Parsing.
Well, they won't ban you for
They'll ban you for
parsing.
talking about parsing.
Yes.
They'll ban you for talking about parsing.
Yeah, like, they're real serious about, you do not tell other people how they're supposed to be playing.
Yeah, I love it. They're very dedicated to it, and I think it's great.
Like, and occasionally it's a little bit annoying if you get somebody in a group that is just wildly not doing their job, and and even trying to nicely make suggestions is they respond with, you can't tell me how to play, but it's really worth it.
Yeah.
Honestly.
Yep.
Like, they would refuse to listen anyway, so
Well, and the PvP thing, it was like my comment from a few weeks back that was like, if you want people to get into your competitive thing, it needs to be as fun or more to lose as to win.
Yep.
And FF14 hits it.
Yeah. I mean, and I've done a lot of, I can't think of the name of the mode right now, but the really big mode where you're capturing the flags.
Seize and or shatter.
Yeah. Like, it's fun too. Like, I mean, I'll do a PvP roulette, I mean,
the fact that those are like, those are 3 teams. So you're going to be losing more often than you're winning anyway.
Right. But, like, it's fun, and you get so much experience that it's just nonsense. They've put in a bunch of things that have a significant payout of experience. That grinding in the game still sucks. Like, if you just want to grind your face off to level something up, it still sucks. But if you're willing to, like, run one of this thing and one of this thing and one of this thing for the bonuses every day, you can level shockingly quickly, which to some extent segues into the next topic. One of the things that they have heavily paid out with Mogrox is main story roulette. And people specifically are queuing for Praetorium because Praetorium pays out 10 Mogrox and the other one pays out 7 Mogrox. So even if you queue for a random right now, most of the time you're going to get Praetorium, which is 45 minutes long at minimum.
Yeah.
There's a lot of cutscenes.
I mean, it's 35 minutes-ish of cutscenes, plus however long it takes you to run between the cutscenes.
Yeah, so mostly, you can watch an episode of something, or read a book, or whatever.
Yeah. I've been getting lots of knitting done, and playing Dragalia Lost, and yeah.
So what I've been doing is having delightful conversations with the other folks in the instance with me. Because, like, I'm stuck here for a while. I don't want to alt-tab and do something else, so I just start chatting with people. And the other night, we had the weirdest conversation. And it all started about somebody was brand new in there for the first time. And we all kind of said, like, wow, we're really jealous that you've never seen any of this and you're going to get to experience this incredible game for the first time. And like everybody was super quiet about any kind of spoilers or anything like that. But it like started into a side conversation of what game would you like to erase from your memory so that you could experience it fresh for the very first time. And obviously, like, I would love to experience, 14 for the very first time again, because, like, there's so many roller coasters that it takes you on. But, like, there's a whole bunch of other games that it would be really cool to experience fresh again. And to some extent, like, we're getting to experience some of that with Final Fantasy VII Remake, because it is the core game that we remember, but like it's significantly changed.
I mean, I'm going to kind of side-eye that one a little bit. It's a lot changed, and it's also not the core gameplay.
Right, but I mean, like, it's the story beats, at least on some level.
It's the story beats.
Like, if I could nuke the entire Mass Effect trilogy for my brain and then re-experience it, I would.
Oh man, then I could play Mass Effect 1 for 10 hours, put it down, come back a year later, play Mass Effect 1 all the way through, and then Mass Effect 2 for like 2 hours, put it down, come back a year later.
I think I would really like to be able to play Night in the Woods again without knowing anything going in.
Oh man, yeah. That one's definitely a good one. The only, like, I don't regret most of the games that are, like, lighter on story. I do not mind. I definitely wish I could experience Night in the Woods. Or Undertale for the first time again. But ultimately, the game that I most want this for is Persona 5. Just so that I could get up the druthers to play Persona 5 Royale and not be spoiled on most of the stuff there.
I think similarly, I'd really like to be able to play Horizon Zero Dawn fresh when it releases on PC. Man, experience it on that platform fresh.
It's one of the things I enjoy about occasionally watching other people play is getting some of that back. So I've been watching my spouse start to play Horizon Zero Dawn, and it makes me so happy because I get to watch the story unfold, but also I get to watch while they're experiencing it.
To some extent, it's almost the Christmas effect. Like for me, I have a really hard time getting into the quote-unquote Christmas spirit until I'm around children. And watching the season through kids' eyes like gets me back in the spirit because like I'm a little kid again. And the same is true with like watching someone experience a game that you love, but like not backseating them, just letting them play it. Because there's been lots of times when, like I've told a friend about some game and 12 months later, they maybe finally sit down to play it, and then I'll start getting a series of messages talking about how they love this or they love that. And then all of a sudden, I'm caught back up in the feel of what it was like to play that game the first time. I mean, kind of the same is true with novels. Like when you share a novel that you love with somebody else, listening to them go through the experiences, like you're kind of getting the contact high.
Yeah. Or like, right before we started recording, Kodra was asking me some questions about DuckTales because he started watching the new DuckTales. And I may have gotten a little excited.
Yeah.
Because that's a really good show.
It's a really good show.
Experiencing somebody else getting to experience that for the first time. That's really cool.
Yeah, I think that I prefer doing that over I've forgotten a thing and want to go back to it.
I don't know. Like, I mean, there's definitely experiences that I wish I could redo. Like, and part of it too is like there are games that I love and I have nostalgia for, but like I also don't think I could ever play them again. just because they're technically challenging, or technology challenging, like KOTOR. Like, I loved KOTOR, but KOTOR, by modern standards, is a frustrating game to play.
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of the games that I would... Like, basically every LucasArts adventure game.
Yeah,
because
Clive Barker's Undying.
Like, I'd love to be able to experience those again for the first time, but it would almost have to, like, actually be the 1990s again for that to really work.
And that's ultimately, like, where this discussion eventually led, is, like, the fear that if we tried to replay these things now, would we feel the same way? Like, how
Having
much
gone back
of
to Secret of Mana recently, I have to say no.
Yeah, my choice for this is weird, but I have been thinking about it since I saw it listed on the thing, and I know exactly what it would be. If I could forget everything I knew about a game and start fresh, Magic the Gathering.
Really?
Yep.
Like, I almost feel like we would need, like, a worldwide mind wipe. Everybody forgets everything about Magic the Gathering and starts fresh.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can see it.
Just me is fine.
I will say that there is something that's very fun about, like, again, this is why I had such a good time playing the My Little Pony TCG, of, like, being in a small community that is playing this game for the first time and sort of working together to come up with strategies and solutions. Like, that small game mentality where everything isn't solved by, like, massive networks of professional players.
Yeah, the entire space hasn't already been explored, so there's actually, new things to try and new ground to be broken.
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about it so many times, but I do miss the era when we used to play with cards just because they had cool art.
Yep. When I actually, when Fallen Empires was new, and I actually put some Fallen Empires cards in my deck because the art was cool.
Like, I used to play with, what is it, Lesser Werewolf, just because it was a cool art, and it was kind of a crappy, like, it's basically a crappy bear, if I remember correctly.
Or, like, every single giant blue creature, like the Polar Kraken, and they were all
those to be. I want at least one of those to be good.
They're not good.
They were never good. They'll never be good.
I mean, like, even back then, you had to build
I'm going to make a commander deck that makes at least some of those creatures good.
Like,
I have not resolved to do this.
You'll have to do the same thing that we did back then, was, like, try and play various things to cheat them into existence, and then figure out a way to deal with the upkeep. Although, like, I would say a lot of the land destruction aspect of some of those critters could be handled by splashing green and, some of the cards that allow you to play lands out of the graveyard.
If you're splashing green, you can just play much better big green creatures.
Mm-hmm.
That don't try and kill you?
And creatures that try to kill you is mostly black, or was. Blue creatures are just absurdly overpriced and
will eat your islands.
And either, like, would go away if you didn't have any islands, or couldn't attack if your opponent didn't have islands, or stupid stuff like that.
Anyway, a game I'd probably go back to. Well, I sort of mentioned it earlier. Secret of Mana is a game I've tried to go back to moderately recently, and it doesn't hold up. Which is why I'm like, this Trials of Mana remake is basically that for me.
I wish I could have Secret of Mana remade like Trials of Mana. Because Trials of Mana, the new version, is amazing. It is so good.
This is a much more direct remake than FF7. They just replaced the gameplay and, like, the graphics, but not the story at all. Everything happens in the same order. All the systems are mostly still there.
Going back and playing Secret of Mana, though, is like, I love that game, but that gameplay is not good.
And the remake kept it intact entirely.
Yeah. Like, the way combat works in that game is not good. I did not remember it working that way. Like, in my head, it was just Zelda with a better story. Like,
I mean, if you want that, there's Alundra.
What's Alundra, and why didn't you say Okami?
Alundra is a PS1 era Zelda-like game that is a lot heavier on the story, but also very, very heavy on the puzzles.
Yeah. It was really good. And I think there's 2 Alundra games.
I've only played the first one, if another one exists.
And the second one may have come out on the PS2. I don't remember.
And I didn't say Okami because you said better story, not longer story.
I mean, I feel like Okami is one of the weirder Zelda games.
I mean, I'm pretty sure my favorite Zelda game is still Beyond Good and Evil.
That's a game that I wish I could go back and play that when it was relevant.
Yeah.
Because, I didn't. And I've tried to go back, and it's just... Technology-wise, it's too far gone for me to play it. Kind of like Tron 2.0 was too far gone for me to play it.
Maybe when that sequel comes out.
Well, it's like, I would love to play the first Witcher, but it is an unplayable mess. Like, I've tried 3 or 4 times, and I finally got past the barrier that was Witcher 2. And
yeah, but Witcher 1 was a rough game when it came out.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Like, they were doing some weird shit with it. I remember trying it when it first came out. I'm like, this is not good.
Witcher 2. What if Neverwinter Nights was the central combat engine that you were very proud of?
Yeah, it's on the exact same engine as Neverwinter Nights 2, and they tried to make an action game on that system.
I didn't like Neverwinter Nights 2 in the first place.
That game's intro is entirely too long. It gets much better eventually.
I mean, I think there's a lot of games that can be chalked up to 3D is new and we don't know what to do with it.
We are definitely getting a little off topic, but man, Mario 64 was such magic.
It was. Here's the thing, though, is like, I don't feel like Mario 64 holds up as well today as when I originally played it. It has its own issues, and its issues, namely, are the camera.
Its camera is definitely not the best.
Its camera is not the best, but it's gonna
it's better than everything else in the era.
Yeah,
it was the best of that era.
Yeah, that was just the price of doing business back then.
It still has issues, and
it's definitely got issues. It's better than anything else of that era, including all of the stuff that came after it for almost an entire console generation.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Like, so a peer of it in that same era would be like the early Tomb Raider games, and everything about Mario 64 works better than those Tomb Raider games.
Well beyond a generation. Kingdom Hearts 1 had a terrible, terrible camera.
Yes.
It did. Kingdom Hearts 1 kind of suffered from the Resident Evil camera problem, and I think it was largely a lot of those games were trying to render a scene from a fixed vantage point, which didn't always work very well. Yeah, so that was not a rabbit trail I expected to go down, but other thing that's happened this week is the North American launch of Phantasy Star Online 2 on the PC.
Yep. It's been a bit rough.
It is.
That's one way to put it.
It's funny because on the one hand, absolutely, it's been rough. On the other hand, all I can think of is how nice this has been compared to MMOs that launched when it originally launched.
Yeah.
I was going to say...
Which was in 2012.
I said that... Okay, so, I basically talked about the awkward launch and all the issues that I ran into, and here were the fixes that I found for them. But, I had a conversation with somebody that was, talking about how horrible it was. I'm like, I'm not even sure this makes my top 10 worst MMO launches.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
This is one of the
close.
better MMO launches I've ever
it's
experienced.
Not good.
I've been able to play
it's still
the game.
Not good.
Because honestly, almost all of the problem with the launch has been with the launcher and the initial download.
Well,
apart from the ship dying yesterday, once you're actually in the game and playing, everything works fine.
I feel like they really probably should have had more than one new ship for this launch.
They had 0 new ships for this launch.
Well,
they should have had any.
For Xbox, they had 2 ships.
Right? No, 1, 2, and 3.
Oh, 3 was on
0 new ships for the PC launch.
Yeah. Okay. I thought they added a 3rd ship for the PC launch.
Mm-mm.
I mean, and I don't understand that because obviously the fact that everyone that we knew was on ship 2 then we're sure as hell going to roll on ship 2, and everybody that knows us is going to roll on ship 2.
Yep.
Well, ship 2 is also the English-speaking ship, or was for
in the Japanese version.
Yes,
Right.
yes, because all my Japanese characters are on ship 2, so folks are just going to gravitate towards ship 2.
It's
Ship 1 also has a large population because it was briefly the only one open when Xbox launched.
And now
But that left Ship 3 with its population a little low. Currently, its population is not low, but Ship 2 is still overcrowded compared to the other two.
Yeah.
Aren't there 6 ships?
There
There
are.
are 6 ships listed, but 3 of them have been closed since the game launched.
Yeah.
Ah,
Yeah, they sit down there like disabled.
I never realized that. I was always just told, yeah, go to ship 2.
Yeah, ships 4 through 6 are permanently under maintenance.
And I mean, that's not as tragic as it sounds, because obviously they can add additional blocks to the ship, because we watched them do it one night. Because I encountered
the capacity of one ship instead of making more.
Right. Like,
Mhm.
I mean, I encountered an issue where I couldn't leave our Alliance headquarters because I was fine
blocks
in the
were full.
Alliance. Yeah, I was fine in the Alliance headquarters, but I couldn't go anywhere outside of the Alliance headquarters. It was not a smooth installation experience for me personally. Like, all of the things I encountered were partially my own doing. Because like I was running Windows under one account and my Xbox Live was associated with a different account, and you actually installed this game from the Windows store and not the Xbox app.
You can install it from the Xbox app now, but you couldn't on the first day.
Right, you couldn't on the first day.
Yeah.
But like the fix for that was just to flip my Windows to a local account and then flip it back to my Xbox account, because I didn't buy anything off the Windows store. Like, that's not a thing I would do without having my arm twisted to do it.
Yeah, I guess if you want to buy the game currency, you can do that through the Xbox store.
Yeah.
It's the same. Yeah, so that makes sense.
I've actually, like, I realize people are having problems. I've had a very smooth launch, other than the fact that the lobby was unplayably laggy until I hacked my file names.
Yes, it's so. Yeah, apparently Sega is bad at launchers.
Apparently?
I mean, we've been complaining a lot about the launcher already, so yeah, that's pretty self-evident.
But yeah, like the one problem with the game the first couple of days was that lag in the lobby made it almost unplayable. Once you were out actually playing the game in the field, everything was fine. But running around on the ship is just awful. And apparently the fix is to just make the game not run through the launcher. Just skip straight to the game. And all the lag goes away.
And I don't understand that.
So dumb.
The one thing
People
that kept,
alluded to it, like maybe going around GameGuard, but if you check, GameGuard is definitely still running and doing its thing.
Yeah. Like, what is the launcher doing that causes all that?
The thing that kept coming up on day one was people would load into the game, get frustrated that it was running 720p, scour through the in-game settings, trying to figure out how to make it not be 720p, and then ask online for the answer. And the answer is, this is a late 90s, early 2000s ethic, where you have a separate configuration program. That's not the game.
I was about to say, like, is it just that I'm old? Because I looked in the settings, saw that there were no graphic settings, remembered that there was a launcher. I was like, they must be there.
Yep, that's where I checked too.
The answer is yes. Things don't do that anymore.
Right. Like that is a thing that died in the late 90s, early 2000s.
I'm old.
Like, I remember Oblivion, and I think maybe New Vegas was the last of the games that did it that way.
I think for me it's partly that I miss it because I preferred when games did it that way, because I don't like having to, like, the thing that drives me nuts is when a game makes me play through its tutorial with this like beautiful opening scene before I can actually like set my camera to be functional.
Yeah,
that is the worst. Like,
that is the actual worst. I would rather take a configurator over that.
Yes.
Right.
Well,
I want to go to a menu system.
The game will make you relaunch the game anyway when you change settings before the settings actually take effect. So, I
also frequently games start at a volume that's too high for what I want. and I can't do anything about it until I get blasted by all of the splash screens.
Yep.
I feel like there should be a Porque no los dos thing.
Yeah.
Configurator and in-game options.
That would be ideal.
Yeah, no reason not to have both.
Well, and that's the thing that drives me insane, too, is I use GeForce Experience a lot of times to configure my games. And you have to have launched the game the first time for it to show up as being configurable. But again, like, I always take the weird route around things. So I'm like I said, like, a lot of the problems I encountered are of my own making. And that's why I wrote a long post explaining how I got around all of the things that I dealt with in case anyone else had them. I think for most people, they just installed and played. I think the biggest challenge for me has been wading through all of the systems in this game and trying to figure out how the hell they work.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff.
I appreciate that you mostly don't have to understand how they work for a long time.
That's true.
Yeah, because like all the time I played the Japanese client, I didn't understand it at all. I just ran expeditions mostly. And I assumed it was just that like the important bits weren't translated.
No, they just don't bother to tell you about those things unless you go find the right person to give you client orders.
Well, and you never get directed to the story ever.
No.
Like I've run a bunch of the quote unquote tutorial client orders, and nobody's ever directed me where the story's at.
The very, very first one, the one they literally make you like pause you and make you do, is supposed to direct you to the story.
Mm-hmm.
But because they pause you and direct you to it directly, it's hard to find later.
Yeah. My favorite thing, though, is the personal avatars. I love running missions with copies of my friends.
Yeah, that is really cool.
And I didn't know this existed until Pizza was talking about running stuff with my character and enjoying it.
Yeah, Ash and Tam and I ran a mission last night, and we brought along a second copy of Ash. Because, of course, he has multiple characters.
Well, I mean, his My Little Pony attacks everything.
Yes.
That's
the second Ash we brought.
Being a summoner is great.
Yeah, that is very fun.
Yeah, so for anyone that doesn't know what we're talking about, you can go up to the Visiphone kiosk and go into, I think it's personal avatars, right?
Something like that.
And you can create basically a clone of yourself and share it amongst your friends. Also, there's a setting where you can share it with anyone, and I suggest you do that because there's no reason not to.
Yeah, you get one of the in-game currencies if people use your avatar. The only thing you can use it for is scratch tickets, but, whatever.
Yeah, but the most entertaining thing about it is, if you've got multiple characters, you can run with yourself. You can basically drag along your higher level character when you're on your lower level character. Now, I mean, like, these clones are not super effective, but it's enjoyable, like, just to run around with, like, 3 people.
Well, and it's more effective than just not having anybody else. Like, if you don't feel like running with randos. You can also bring NPCs that you have sufficiently befriended.
But nobody wants to run around with Hafen.
Yeah, but if you bring them 10 times, you can get a title.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess. I mean... titles are nice.
But yeah, the main thing you have to do to like learn about all the systems is do client orders from there's Afen has some, Kofi has ones related to like getting subclasses and more higher difficulties and stuff, and is very
unlocking
important.
Basic systems. She's very important.
She's probably the most important, followed by Afen. And then there's a dude in the shopping center whose name I can't remember.
His name is Jan.
Yeah, whose jimmies are severely rustled at all times. And he teaches you about everything social. Like, he's got 5 billion client orders, and he's the one that teaches you about, like, bringing copies of your friends and
upgrading your equipment.
Yeah, like, everything. Also go to the cafe, because that's where gathering is, and gathering actually matters.
Well, and you can't see gathering until you've been to the cafe.
Yep.
Oh, I was wondering, like, I heard people like, oh, I'm gathering, and I was like, I did not realize there was a gathering thing here.
That is a system that does not exist in your world until you've been to the cafe. And then all of a sudden, everywhere there's gathering gnomes.
Yeah, and rings are basically locked entirely behind gathering stuff.
Oh, okay, that would make sense.
Yeah, in fact, one of your first quests is to make a ring.
Yeah, you'll make your first ring and then get your second ring for having done the quest to make the first one.
I've never found those.
Same. I found the gathering stuff, but I need to look for the ring stuff.
It's on one of the sides is the person that's the ring crafter, like skill ring crafter or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, the main person that gives the initial client order to gather stuff at all also is the one that gives the one to make a ring.
Oh.
Like she gives you a client order to mine once and fish once, and once you turn in that one, she gives you a client order to make a ring.
Okay.
You also want to befriend the old man in the fancy suit because he has orders that pay out really well.
Yeah, he'll pay you like 100,000 money for a mushroom and stuff.
Oh.
But like, that's part of the problem is there's just so much random stuff going on and none of it makes real sense. You just kind of have to go with the flow of, this is a weird-ass game.
Stuff's happening. Do the stuff. It's great. Do more stuff, do more things, find more things to do.
It's got a very impressive character creation system as long as what you want to create is something anime.
It's true.
Like if your waifu game is strong, then this is a game for you.
I'm sorry, but the character creation is amazing because the female body options are not skinny, and muscular.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah, the sliders are really great. And in fact,
you can play anything.
And you can switch those. Like when you create the character, there's 4, like a thing on each slider. You can actually change what each slider is. Like it's really
And then if you go into the detailed, you can actually change things, which was a little bit more intuitive for me, where you could go just for chest or shoulders and make them bigger and smaller.
Mm-hmm.
I was really excited because while they do have skin tone palettes for all of the different races, one of the races is a robot, and you can apply robot skin tones to anything. So I have a very purple night elf.
Yep.
So, I mean, I am a mandroid, which can either be really creepy or really cool looking, and because I have specifically chosen chunky armor, it mostly just looks like I'm in, power armor all the time. But, like, there are definitely robot appearances that you can look real creepy if you put the human head on it.
You can. I'm literally a Gundam in a cowboy hat. It's pretty great.
Why not?
Yeah. Yeah, and on further investigation, just like fiddling around with the creator in the process of making a couple of extra characters to get skill resets, before the game launched, it seems like you actually can make the female robots, like, be more Gundam-like. Mm-hmm. So the dimorphism isn't as enforced as it initially appears to be.
It's still pretty enforced.
Like,
for example, I don't think you can make a female robot that has like a robot face.
Yeah, maybe not beyond like seams in the face.
Yeah, like the outfit that I'm mostly going with is kind of a, for lack of a better term, a Zaku, however you pronounce that. It's somewhere between that and the Invid Shock Trooper from Robotech.
Yeah, but you can at least do the same sort of thing that Bell did with like human face and then bulky robot body. If you don't want your female cast to basically look like a Vocaloid.
Speaking of,
who are in game right now.
Yeah, that's a whole weird thing.
That's weird.
You can go attend a Hatsune Miku concert in game.
Which led to a weird conversation the other night, because they announce it as a live concert. And is Hatsune Miku ever not live, or is it ever live? Like, and like my answer was, if it was running the Vocaloid software, then yes, it is a live concert.
But
if it is a recording,
aren't even the normal live concerts recordings?
Right, and that's the thing is like so yeah, but then the actual live concerts are a lot like the Gorillaz concerts, where it's basically just a recording. So I don't know. I'm confused. But my does that stuff from those scratchers sell well on the auction house?
Yeah, people really want to be want to look like Hatsune Miku. It's the whole thing.
Like, I am thankful.
The first collaboration, I guess second if you got Sonic.
I was going to say there's Sonic
for the North American server.
That
PSO2
stuff
is real big on collaborations.
That Sonic stuff is nightmare-inducing.
Some of it's great. I've been using the hair for a long time.
I mean, I guess, but like if you actually put the Sonic head on.
No, I have not been using the full Sonic head. That looks
that's nightmare-inducing. Also, I'm like really confused by some of the style because like one of the items I picked up off of one of my free scratchers was like this really nice looking overcoat, but then under the overcoat, I'm wearing like hot pants and a like shirt with parts missing.
This is the robot thing?
No,
No, I'm saying this is a robot thing. The cast base wear when you start is that.
Right, but like I was using this on my human character.
Oh.
And it looks like I've basically got like kind of a tracksuit thing underneath like a onesie bodysuit that runners wear with cutouts underneath an overcoat.
I can't explain that one.
It's a weird look. But I'm wearing it so that I can attune it and then get my free crystal thingy. The thing is like I've been playing for a week now, and I don't feel like I understand most of the systems any better than I did on day one.
I've got a pretty good handle of a lot of them, but I can't say I have a good handle on all of them.
I am so thankful you do, because I have asked you a lot of questions, Ash.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but if you start asking me questions about weapon affixing and upgrading, I'm going to be in trouble.
I still haven't figured out how to use grinders, because like in the old Phantasy Star Online games, it was real straightforward. You just, used them like almost like an armor kit in WoW, where you just bumped it up by a plus.
You have to take, armor still works kind of like that. You take some grinders, take some money, go to the item lab, and attempt to grind your armor up to plus 10.
Yep.
I say attempt because it can fail and it can go backwards.
Yep.
Thankfully, grinders are pretty cheap.
And also, I ended up with like a huge stack of them through various bonuses.
Yeah, I've got like a couple of hundred of them just.
The weapons you upgrade by basically putting other weapons in them, and it takes a grinder for each one you use.
Mm.
Does it have a chance to also go down?
Nope.
Nice.
It has a chance to critically succeed, but does not have a chance to fail.
So I should definitely be doing that.
Once you've got weapons
you're
going to keep for a while.
Care about?
Yeah.
So
I assume it has to be the same weapon.
Nope.
Oh.
It's
experience varies based on what it is, and the same weapon is best, but...
I have a really nice weapon right now. I should burn through my stockpile of rifles that I've been feeding to my mag that is overflowing. I can't feed them to the mag fast enough.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you should either feed those to a weapon or just sell them. Also, your weapon has an element, and that element has a value. That value can go up to 50. You increase it by feeding the weapon other weapons with the same element.
Okay. I guess I know what I'm doing tomorrow. I am feeding my weapon, which sounds a little disturbing.
They give you so many items and not enough bag space. It kind of makes sense.
I've never played a game quite like this. Okay, so the closest is Diablo, where you have to teleport back to town multiple times during the same mission. But like, this one allows you to send it to the bank while you're out in the field, but like, it is not a fast procedure.
No. And then you have to go through it once you get back, and that's not fast either.
And what is ended up happening is, not only do I have full bags, but I'm getting to the point where I have a very full bank, and I'm going to have to reconcile that.
Just sell stuff.
Although, admittedly,
if you're using
that's
a controller, you can multi-select with the R button. With the keyboard, you can multi-select with the Shift button.
Okay, that's good to know. This isn't that different than when Grace and I are running riffs, because I am bad about just cramming legendaries into my bank and sorting them out later, or never sorting them out later.
I do really enjoy the party gameplay, just rolling up and doing something, and how little levels seem to matter. Like, they matter, but not a lot. You can jump into something way higher level than you, and it's pretty much fine.
Yeah. Yeah, because, I mean, in my late 20s, I was running some of the stuff that's like 40. And it all really depends on, like, how many players are also going to be there. So, like, I was running one of the urgent missions on as high a level as it would let me go in there, expecting that, like, there's going to be 12 other players, and we'll get through it just fine.
I mean, I found that to be pretty true.
Expeditions are the only place where it can get a little dicey because, like, I've been on planets entirely by myself before.
I haven't since the PC launch.
Yeah, same. There's usually at least one other person.
Well, especially if you're doing the expedition that the dailies are on.
Do you just do you just get XP for everyone in the zone?
Only if you're within range.
There is a proximity there.
Yeah,
only if you get it from your party, regardless of proximity, and other kills if they're just like remotely close.
Wow. Okay, so like other people doing stuff in the same zone I am gets me XP.
Seems to.
Right. If you're within like visual distance of the players, yeah. Like you can see damage numbers further than you can get experience. So like, you know, that whole feeling where you can see in the distance that there's just like a train of damage numbers popping up, which is usually what leads me to go in a specific direction.
Yeah.
Like you will see those well before you start seeing the XP pop-ups too.
But it does make for a nice way of having other players around being good.
Well, and Ash told me something that makes me significantly like some of the options of this game better is that the XP boosters only tick down if you're in a mission. So, like,
well, that's nice.
I'm just going to start running them all the time, kind of like I do in Guild Wars.
I mean, at level 50, one of the daily missions that you're going to get every day is use a booster or food. And the reward from doing that is a booster. So,
Well, and like, I've got a bunch of the triple boosters, and I assume they work the same way, where the rare drops and the Meseta and the experience is all boosted while you're in a mission.
Yeah.
Yep. And also, you can use a tri-boost and the individual boosters simultaneously.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
I never do this, but you can.
I'm really bad at remembering to do this, but...
It seems as though when you are in a zone, you are also being influenced by the boosts of other players, too.
So, I'm not sure that's true, but right now there's just a generalized boost going on for everything to celebrate the launch of the PC client.
Okay, maybe that's it. Because, like, there's been times where I've got a bunch of people around, and I'm seeing rares every single pack.
I mean, you get drops from their kills, too, so...
Yeah. But there is like a 50% boost to everything right now.
Well, I mean, I guess with this going on, it's a really good time to grind out collections weapons, since, like, those have generally, for me, been, like, get a red drop of this type, and a red drop of this type, and a red drop of this type.
Those generate their own drops, though. So, like, they will advance if you get the drop naturally, but they also just, if you do whatever it is, urgent quests or mob kills or expeditions, they will generate a drop of that type that counts toward the collection.
Okay.
Also, I would like better collections, please. The ones we currently have are a little substandard.
Oh.
Therefore, I want to say, like,
using
8-star weapons.
Yeah, I think 8-star.
They're given to you at plus 30, so they make really good grind stuff for better weapons. So there's that, at least.
Should I just get the collection for the class I'm actually playing, or should I go ahead and pick up a full 5?
You might as well pick up a whole set, though, all kinds at once.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, I should do that too. Go ahead and level the hunter weapons.
If you're going to play a summoner ever, the 10-star pets from collections are currently unique. That's the only way to get them.
Oh. That's good to know.
I don't know if I'll ever play a summoner, but watching your summoner while I'm fighting things does intrigue me.
That's another question I had. Do eggs only drop if you're a summoner?
Mostly, yes.
Okay. Because I've gotten like all sorts of weapons for classes, that I can't use on my current class, but I never get eggs. And then I saw you getting plenty of them when we were, playing together. So
I really like Ranger. I mean, it's the same kind of gameplay that I was used to from the original game.
Just run around and shoot things.
Yeah.
Works for me.
I feel like I'm doing Ranger wrong. Because I feel like my damage is terrible on my Ranger. Is there some, like, key skill that I don't have?
I don't know. I feel like I melt things.
I mostly use auto fire, occasionally the homing bullet when fighting bosses.
Huh. Because I'm used to the average enemy dying in one hit.
No.
Oh, that doesn't happen. No.
Because that's the
your force
braver.
life.
That's my experience with Braver, Tector, Force, and Bouncer.
I don't think it's my Tector experience.
It's not my Bouncer experience either. Bouncer
might be like 2 hits.
Well, each swing is 2 hits, so it's like 6 hits for me.
Sorry, I guess button presses.
Sure. It is different for different enemies too, but for the small enemies, yeah, it's like...
For a ranger, one of the most important things is hitting enemies in a weak point.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
There's a bullet you can load that lets you generate your own weak point.
Yep.
How do you know what their weak points are?
90% of the time it's the head. Otherwise,
Okay.
there's something glowing.
Yeah.
If it's like one of the mobs with like the tumor thing hanging off of them, yeah, that's the tumor.
Also that.
Mm-hmm.
Hit that regardless of what class you're on.
The foul spawn infected mobs.
Yeah.
I kind of miss the sharks though.
Sharks?
Like there were these weird foul spawn mobs, and actually it was back when they were called dark spawn, and they looked like the left shark from. It was like a dude in a crappy shark costume. They were the best. They moved really slowly and kind of lumbered towards you, and they were the best. I missed the sharks.
I mean, Nightfall Province has like jack-in-the-boxes and houses and cars that attack you. So there's definitely some goofiness going on.
Yeah, that place is weird.
Someday I'll play through story.
They're currently attempting to bribe you to play through the story.
Is it worth a lot of experience?
The story is worth a lot of star gems. It's not worth a lot of experience at all.
What do you use
mostly
the
just
star
cutscenes.
gems for?
Mostly cosmetics, but also material storage.
You
Material
can unlock
storage
the
is-
material storage with it.
The what?
You can unlock this material storage with it.
You can rent material storage with it.
That honestly, that's like one of the things that I find distasteful about this game, as is distasteful with a lot of South Korean games, is the whole renting of things. Like, you get this for 30 days, or you get this for X amount of hours.
Yeah,
That really bothers me.
It functionally is just a subscription. What I wish is that this game had, like, I was looking at the overall costs of if you wanted to, like, I want to be subscribed, and it works out to like $9-ish a month, like $9 a month ish. But
There's no way to actually spend $9 a month to do it.
Yeah.
What?
But there's no way to actually spend $9 a month to do it.
Right. It's like 3 different things that cost like $2, $3, and $4 independently, and you need to have all of them going.
And I really just want, like, how much money do I need to throw at you to take all of this nonsense away?
Yes.
And just make it good.
Yeah.
Like ESO Plus. I will never not pay for ESO Plus when I'm playing ESO, because crafting storage means that much to me.
Yeah, I like the just tell me, like, I'm willing to give you money for it. Like, I totally understand the other view, which is this game lets you pick and choose which things you care about and pay as much or as little as you want. And, like, that's admittedly very, very handy and cool. And, like, you could it feels like you could fairly comfortably play this game without paying any money. And so I like that it's there, but I want the, like, everything ticket. Just give me the everything ticket.
Well, and so much of the community is so averse to spending any money at all, because, like, I would say most of my reading has been people freaking out that, like, you can't reset except for, reset your skill trees other than spending money.
Yeah, but I'm freaking out about that. That's dumb.
That is really annoying.
Yeah, but, like, for me, I figure you can make it all the way to the end game and then figure out what you actually want to do.
I mean, skills are very powerful, so you probably shouldn't not spend them. But you can't reset them unless you have a special reset pass handed out by Sega. So it's...
Or spend $10 to get one.
You can't even get one. You cannot spend money to get a reset pass.
Yeah, I feel like that's more of an issue.
I don't know. Like, supposedly they've been sold before for $10.
What you can buy is an extra skill tree.
Right, and that's $5. But supposedly you can buy a skill reset, or you could in the Japanese version for $10.
It seems odd that a new skill tree is less expensive than resetting your existing one.
Yeah, that seems weird.
There's some other weird stuff like that too. Like a new mag is cheaper than resetting your mag.
Yes.
That's silly.
Can you? You can have multiple mags.
Yes.
I think you can have up to
$3.
$20.
You can have 20.
And it's how many dollars?
$3 each.
So if I don't want to, I don't need to have any other class characters.
That's correct.
You can do everything on one character.
Okay.
You'll be paying for extra mags and extra skill sets.
Maybe
Probably
you pay for extra skill sets.
Yeah, if you want to
Probably
be viable.
paying for extra skill sets. Yeah.
I mean, the main thing is you want to spend your skills differently if you're using something as a subclass than as your
That's
primary
true.
Main class. Yeah.
Like, I'm pretty sure...
Especially true for Summoner and Hunter, which are very common subclasses.
Like, I'm pretty sure if I want to ever play Hunter as a primary on my main character, I need a second Hunter skill set.
Yeah, but that's cool. Okay. I didn't realize that. This game is... So, I feel like this game front loads you with systems.
Yes.
And the way it teaches you systems is by tiny little text boxes and not by having you actually interact with the systems much. Sometimes they force you to actually do the thing, which is nice. Otherwise, I just am like, I want to get back to playing the game, please.
Like, I don't know how much of this is systems got added, as the game went on, and we're coming at a point that the game's been around so long that there's all these systems and we just get hit by all of them at once.
I mean,
there's a large component of that.
To some extent, that's the problem with Final Fantasy XIV right now, too.
Yeah.
It's like, if you're brand new to the game, there's just so much nonsense.
And you hit level 15 and so many quests light up.
I mean, Ray has come back to the game this week, and she's just overwhelmed by the last multiple expansions where the content that she's trying to figure out what she should actually be doing.
I mean, heck, when I initially came back, it was still during ARR. It was like before Heavensward hit, and I still had to make a new character and play that character up to about level 15 before I could remember what I was doing well enough to go back to my main. And there's a lot more stuff now that you could have forgotten or just never run into at all.
I mean, honestly, PSO2, I would really struggle with it were it not for the core loop being enjoyable, because there's a lot to wade through to get to the core loop.
Yeah, but the core loop is fun.
The core loop is fun.
Yeah, the planets are fun. I mean, it's very Diablo-ish, where each planet is a bunch of prefabs that appear in different orders.
And you blow up stuff and try to get loot.
And then you get a boss at the end of every, level, essentially. And the boss fights are kind of fun. I mean, they're not super stressful, but they're fun.
So when there's 4 of us in a group, the boss fights do not actually happen.
I mean, I think also some of us were much higher level than they suggested for that zone.
I guess that's fair. It felt like I was walking up to a thing and then it was just falling down.
And then it rains loot.
I suspect if we were all level appropriate for the boss, it would actually take a little bit of time.
Depends on the boss.
They would also depend on the boss, yeah.
The boss that Tam and I did, the Leviathan-esque fight, was really fun.
Yeah.
That one's going to take a while regardless.
Yeah.
They have some really... I like the variety of bosses. One of my favorite bosses is a big train tank thing that you fight.
Is that the thing that you have to crawl up on top of?
Yeah. Physically climb it. Because a lot of bosses have collision, and so you can just climb these things. It's I think it's neat.
Yeah, it telegraphed that fight wrong to me, because Ash was on when I was fighting it for the first time, and I thought, I need to take out all the guns and stuff on the sides.
I also thought this and spent a lot of time in there breaking everything I could see before figuring out that there was a thing on top of the train I could hit.
Yeah, that's fair.
I do find it weird that the only real friending option is basically to use Xbox Live.
I mean, that is one of the benefits to using an alternate account system.
It makes sense, like, you know, because it just sort of worked when we were playing Monster Hunter World on the PC and it was just using Steam. But, like, I also don't feel like that's really clearly messaged. But, you know, it is allowing me to flesh out my Xbox friend list, since it's been really long since I've actually played Xbox seriously.
Yeah, I mostly only ever used it for Rock Band, so my Xbox friends list was very light.
I've never had an Xbox, so I have no friends.
I mean, clearly you need to make friends because running around with their clones is amazing. So we need to get you like Pizza Maid and Samadine, because they're all on our same ship too.
Yeah.
I sent you a friend request.
I will need to do that thing also.
I mean, Pizza switched out her avatar to be her cast, but I quite liked her maid, whatever wields a katana.
Yeah, she's running around as a braver.
Yeah, braver. But she was like in a maid outfit with Hatsune Miku mag.
That mag is amazing.
That mag is hilarious. I am not keeping it, but it is hilarious.
I right now have a railgun for a mag. I assume that's also what you have for a mag, Phelan, is a little railgun that floats around?
I mean, it's an egg with a gun on its head. So, yeah.
Exactly. That is its key feature, is the gun. I do kind of miss VMUs existing and taking my mag with me as a, like, whatever the hell the digital pets were from the 90s.
Tamagotchi.
Yeah, Tamagotchi. You used to be able to do that with your mag and level up your mag while you were out running around. You would take the visual memory unit out of your Dreamcast. And there's a lot of nostalgia for me, but man, it's a vastly different game than either Phantasy Star Online when I originally played it or Blue Burst whenever I played it on the PC. Like structurally, it's a similar game, but man, it is way different.
I think I've mentioned the one that I'm more used to is Phantasy Star Portable, which it's a little closer to. But even then, it like systems-wise, it's learning new stuff.
I mean, Ranger is very similar, and I think that's why I've latched onto it so hard. Is it is recognizable for me. Also, the aspect of like as a Ranger, you basically can run around and never actually get touched by the mobs.
Yeah, all the classes I like to play are pretty close range, except Summoner, I guess.
I don't get touched on the Braver for the most part.
Except when you want to be. I don't know if that counts if you take it on the sword, though.
I was going to say, I don't think it counts if I take it on the sword.
I mean, same is true with the Hunter and blocking.
The Braver counterattack is very strong. I need to get better at it.
Well, we have any other things that we want to talk about tonight?
I think we're good.
Yep. Okay. Well, hopefully you enjoyed this show, and we will see you again next week. And thanks, Steph, for tagging along. Night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night. Good night.
See you.